The Utah Utes first game is this Saturday, which means the 2025 season is almost here. So how does ESPN think Utah is going to do in each of their games? So what I'm going to do for this final segment is I'm going to go game by game looking at what ESPN projects Utah's chance at to win each matchup. Let's look at the first one. Right now, Utah is not favored against UCLA in that first week. UCLA a 52% favorite there. Utah just 47%. Obviously, I disagree with that. I feel like Utah, we talked about it before, just a lot of the continuity pieces that Utah is back, new quarterback, new offensive coordinator working together for UCLA, defense that was good, but has a ton to replace from last season too, and offensive line questions. I feel like Utah should be favored. I'd lean Utah 60-40 in this one, but I can understand they're always going to side with the road games a little bit more. Let's see what the Cal Poly one is that ESPN's thinking. 99% in favor of Utah, 1% Cal Poly. I think that's totally fair. How about the game up in Laramie? Utah traveling to take out Wyoming in week 3. 84% Utah, 15% Wyoming. To me, that's a little high for a Wyoming team who missed a bowl game last year and did not bring in the transfer player portals the level that a Utah team that missed a bowl game did. So I would go 90-10 there, but I understand it's Laramie. It's a game at Wyoming. Anything can happen. How are they feeling about Utah against Texas Tech? A reminder right now, too, Red Raiders are ranked in that one at 23. If Utah takes care of business week 1 and looks good weeks 2 and 3, I think that's a top 25 matchup, which I would love to have that be the case. Now bolster not just Utah, but the Big 12 as well if they could get that matchup there. Utah currently favored. I think this is where you see Utah getting the home team bump, right? They're 52% favored, over 47% for Texas Tech. And I think this makes a lot of sense when you look at now the injury the Tech has at their key running back. There's some transfer portal pieces along the offensive line that got to come together. They have some talented pass catchers, no doubt. But this Utah team at home, let's not forget, when Utah has had the starting quarterback that they intend to be their starting quarterback at the beginning of the year, this is a team that has not lost a home game since 2017. Yes, home games were rough last year at times, but Utah was in every single one of them with bad quarterback play. I don't think they're getting bad quarterback play this year. And obviously ESPN doesn't, since they have them beating their 23rd projected team. Then you get a very even one. Utah going up to West Virginia. Obviously, this is a little bit of a road trip out to Morgantown. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere there. I've just also said before, in West Virginia, barely favored, 50.9% to 49.1 for Utah. I just think Utah's the better team here. And I know it's tough to go on the road and win in college football, but I'm just not high on West Virginia. I think it's too many new pieces. I trust Rich Rod. I think he does a good job, but I don't think they're ready for this Utah team. I think the offensive line overwhelms a rebuilding Mountaineer program. I think this is the Utah team where Devon Dampier will be playing some of his best ball by then. And I think Utah gets a win over the Mountaineers there too. After that, Utah will get to take on Arizona State. Not before a little bit of a bye, though, which is obviously very welcome. Right now, ESPN feeling the Sun Devils. I have no issue with this. 58% win percentage for ASU, only 41% for Utah right now. And how can I be mad about that? ASU won the title last year, beat Utah last year too. But this Utah team, as we said, very hard to win at home. For me personally, I think this should be closer to, this one is more 50-50 to me, because you got to respect Sam Levitt coming back, Kenny Dillingham. But it's, again, Utah at home, man. I don't love picking against Utah at home, and I think they got a good chance. I've talked about this is right now a game I have them projected to lose. ASU is the 11th ranked team, but I don't think I would have the favorites be as drastic as that. All right, we've reached the craziest one here. Utah at BYU matchup predictor. Yes, this is October 18th, so a long way away from now. They have BYU as a 70% favorite and Utah as a 30% chance to win this game. What? Like, how? How does a team who their starting quarterback's a true freshman is just going to for sure beat a Utah team that has a lot more veterans and is just better at some of the most important positions in football? Offensive line, clearly in Utah's favor. Quarterback, clearly in Utah's favor too, right? Both teams have some questions along the defensive line. I get it, but I feel like Utah, I understand if BYU, if you want to give BYU a slight favor, I get it. But the fact that Utah only has 30% and BYU has 70% to me is absolutely wild when you think about a true freshman quarterback for the Cougars and a quarterback that I just don't simply think is going to be that level of the upper echelon among the best QBs in the Big 12. I just don't know how good Bear's going to be this year. I don't think he's going to be great, but Bear, if you prove me wrong, good for you. I think this is crazy to have Utah as that drastic of an underdog there. Then we got Utah versus Colorado in this one. Utah 56%, Buffs 43%. To me, Caden Salters, Colorado, rebuilding without the presence of, actually, Colorado's going to beat BYU, by the way, in their game earlier in the season. But no presence of Shedeur, no presence of Travis Hunter. To me, Utah, this should be 60. I actually might go 70-30 here. I feel good about this Utah team, and the Buffs have a lot of answers with how much they relied so heavily on those two guys. Then Cincinnati comes to town, take on Utah. This is where we see Utah become a 65% favor to 34% for Cincinnati. I'd probably go 70-30 here as well. Maybe even 80-20, depending on how the Bearcats look. I think it could be a long year for Scott Satterfield, but I'm not mad about this one, 65-35. Then you get a tough one for Utah. You go out to Waco right now. They're feeling Baylor, 68% favored for Baylor, 31 for Utah. I think this should be more 60-40 in favor of the Bears, the home team. I have Baylor beating Utah in my season projections. I'd love to pick this team to go 12-0. It's hard to do that with how they were last year, and also there's really good teams in the Big 12. Let's not forget that too. There's a Utah team that I could absolutely see being 8-4, and I do think there's a world that they are a 10, maybe even a 12-win team. It's just hard for me to sit here and say with confidence that that's going to happen. But I get Waco being favored, Baylor being a favorite in Waco here. I think they're going to get Auburn on Friday too, so that probably only bolsters it. Baylor's got a good chance to be ranked. Love what Sawyer Robertson brings. And, of course, for Utah, they get the bye after the Cincinnati game, so that'll be nice resting up for the Bears. Then Utah takes on Kansas State. This one surprised me. Kansas State's 57% favored, only 42% favored in turn for Utah. I just disagree with that. I don't see that being the case in this game at all. Like, why is Kansas State, who I did think showed some nice things, but that large of a favorite against the Utah Utes at home? I don't. If Devon Dampier and everyone's healthy, I don't see it. So I think Utah, this should be like 55-45 for me. I like Kansas State, Avery Johnson, Chris Kleiman. I know what they can bring, but to me, that's another one that's just surprising. So then you get Kansas versus Utah Utes, final home game of the year, November 28th, of course. Utah taking on the Jayhawks, 72% favored Kansas. That's another, like, what are we doing? Why? I like Kansas. I think they could be good, but why is this game not over like 50% for Utah? It's a Utah team. Like, they're not bad 2 years in a row, the physical culture in place. Like, we just feel this good about Kansas. A Kansas team that also wasn't great last year is just that surely going to beat up on Utah. I'm not feeling that at all. So that's another one I don't like. So for the most part, I think ESPN, on a couple of these, I think ESPN's lost their damn mind. Like, I think some of them are absolutely wild, but for the most part, I think I get what they're trying to do. And yeah, it's just interesting to see what ESPN models predict. You know, AI always has their thoughts too. If you ask Gronk or whatever, what on X is called, like what they think is going to happen to Utah. So always interesting to see what ESPN's feeling is going to happen. And obviously my feeling is it's going to be a great season for the Utah Utes. Kyle Whittingham hopes it is as well. Spoke about that earlier in his press conference today. Today's episode of Locked On Utes is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. August 26th is closing in, and it's officially FanDuel Futures Day. That's right, it is today. August 26th has arrived, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for the bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just over 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on the NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, ready to crown your Super Bowl champion before week one even kicks off, this is your moment. You know, for me tomorrow, I'm looking at the Minnesota Vikings. I think they're winning the NFC North, and I think they got a good shot to win the Super Bowl. I can't go all the way there with a rookie QB, but I am taking them to win the division. Whatever bet you're feeling, make sure you head over to FanDuel today. You can visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now, because FanDuel Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, you can play your game today. Drop your thoughts in the comments on his press conference. Which player comments did you find interesting? We're going to hit on a lot of those on tomorrow's show. Thank you again for making Locked On Utes your first listen and view of the day. And make sure, if you're in the market for a second listen, you check out Locked On College Football or any of our great Locked On Big 12 shows or Locked On shows in general. That's going to do it for today's edition. Look forward to be back with you tomorrow as we continue to get you prepped for all things Utah versus UCLA in Pasadena.